Shabbos Daf Mem Hey. Rav holds like Rabbi Yehuda and Muktzah, and therefore a candle that's extinguished on Shabbos remains Muktzah for the rest of the Shabbos. However, he made a dispensation when it comes to Chanukah in the times of the Chabarim. Chabarim were people that didn't allow candles lit. Therefore, if somebody wanted to light the menorah and was scared that the Chabarim will catch him, after Ben Hashmoshes, when it's already Shabbos and the candles go out, you can take the menorah back into your house. B'shas Chak is a special halacha. The famous saying goes, Kedayu Rebbe Shimon lismoich ala b'shas Chak. When it comes to an emergency like the Chabarim, then we can rely on the shita of Rebbe Shimon that there's no muktzah. Shmuel holds in Rebbe Shimon that the only foods that become muktzah are raisins and groy-groys, figs that are set out to dry, because they have two conditions. And in order for something to become muktzah, according to Rebbe Shimon, you need two conditions. Dechiyo beyadayim, putting something aside with your hand, saying, I don't want to use this anymore, and that it's not roy lachilo, you can't eat it any longer. Raisins, once you take grapes and put them in the sun, you can no longer eat it for the time being. And by putting it in the sun, you're doich beyadayim, you're sending it off to the side. Rabbi Yochanan says, when it comes to muktzah, there's an additional muktzah called muktzah machmas mitzvah, which Reb Shimon subscribes to. And that is, if you light a candle for Shabbos, and that's a mitzvah, that candle becomes muktzah for the time being. Therefore, let's say a sukkah, the walls of the sukkah, the schach, even the decorations become muktzah because they were set aside for the mitzvah for 7 days. They're muktzah throughout the entire Chalamayit, according to Reb Shimon. Unless somebody made a specific night and said, I want to use the wood, I want to use these decorations. What if somebody planted kernels, or he put an egg under a chicken, so he set it aside? Well, it doesn't have the conditions we need, and it's not muktzah mitzvah, so according to Reb Shimon, they are not muktzah. Going back to sukkah wood, if you have a sukkah that's standing during other Yom Tovim, like Pesach and Shavuos, you're not allowed to take wood off the sukkah. That's soiser, that's breaking the sukkah. What if the sukkah fell down on Shavuos? You would also not allowed to use that wood according to Rabbi Yehuda because it remains muktzah. But according to Reb Shimon, it's not muktzah. Once it breaks, it falls down, and you anticipated it, it's not muktzah. On sukkahs, even according to Reb Shimon, it's muktzah, unless you made it tonight. There's a brayso that says that there are other fruit, such as peaches and quinces, that you put aside on the roof and you let them dry, and they're muktzah. That must be going according to Rabbi Yehuda. But what's the chiddush? The chiddush is, even though they're foods and you're eating from them, nevertheless, by putting them on the roof, you're mesiach das from it, you don't want to have anything to do with it, and therefore they remain muktzah according to Rabbi Yehuda. Rebbe's son, Rabbi Lazar, asked Rebbe, what does Reb Shimon hold when it comes to patzili tamarim? These are dates that will never ripen. From the fact that he asked Rebbe the question about Rebbe Shimon, that means, the Gemara understood, that Rebbe subscribes to Reb Shimon's shita of muktzah. Otherwise, he wouldn't ask his father, what does Reb Shimon hold about patzili? But he told him, even though patzili tamarim are not edible, but he never pushed it aside with his hand. So he has one out of the two conditions, and therefore they are not muktzah, according to Reb Shimon. Nevertheless, the Gemara asks a question. There's a Mishnah that tells us that on Yom Tov you're allowed to shecht an animal that's yours, but if it's yours and it's in the midbar, and what that means exactly, there's machlokes, whether it comes back after when it starts raining, in other words, it's away for a half a year. According to Rebbe, it never comes back. The point is, that kind of animal you cannot shecht on Yom Tov, because you never had it in mind that you're going to have that animal. You're not allowed to give it to drink so that the skin comes off easier. But you see, the Rebbe holds of muktzah. Rebbe is the one that says that the animal doesn't come back at all, and therefore it's muktzah. So the Gemara gives three options. Either Rebbe holds like Reb Shimon in muktzah, but this particular animal is like raisins. It has two conditions. First of all, you were doich b'yadayim, you pushed it aside, you said, I don't want to see you anymore for a year. And second of all, it's very difficult to catch and capture. So it has two conditions, and therefore, even Reb Shimon would agree that this midbar animal is muktzah. Second answer is that Rebbe never said that he holds like Reb Shimon. He was just answering what Reb Shimon would hold. In fact, Rebbe holds like Reb Yehuda in muktzah, and he was answering his son what Reb Shimon would hold in muktzah. Another pshat is that Rebbe was talking in the opinion of Reb Yehuda. In other words, he holds like Reb Shimon in muktzah. But don't you Chachamim agree that if an animal comes back every half a year, that it should be considered a domesticated animal and you could sheft it on Yontif? And they said, no, we don't agree to that. Rabbi Bar Bechana said that Rabbi Yochanan holds, like Reb Shimon in Muktzah, that there's no Muktzah. Why did Rabbi Yochanan say that a chicken coop is Muktzah? We must say that it's talking about a very specific case, that the chicken coop had an egg, and in the egg was a chick. And therefore, this egg is not roy lachilas kelev, because a dog won't eat an egg peel. And it's not roy for a human. You have a dead chicken there, we can't eat it, it's treif. Nor would a guy eat it. Therefore, Reb Shimon does hold of muktzah machmas gufa. Something like money, stones, have absolutely no other use to them, and this egg with a chick inside has absolutely no other use, and therefore even Reb Shimon agrees that that's muktzah. Now, why didn't he just say that there's an egg there that was born on Shabbos, and Reb Shimon holds that it's noilad and it's muktzah? Because there is a shita that holds, Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak holds, that Reb Shimon doesn't hold of a noilad on Shabbos. In other words, since you anticipate the birth of this egg, Reb Shimon doesn't hold that it's noilad according to Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak. And to say that there's a dead chick there without an egg, there's a mandama that holds in Reb Shimon that you could use that dead chick and you could feed it to your animals on Shabbos, as long as you knew about it beforehand. In other words, there's one mandama that says in Reb Shimon that if the chick was healthy and it died on Shabbos, Reb Shimon holds it's muktzah, because I never thought about it. That was Mesiach Das. There's another mandama that says that it's muktzah. Rabbi Yitzchak Rabbi Yosef holds that Rabbi Yochanan said that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, that there is muktzah. Now, why did he have to say so? There was a story that you could learn from, and you know from that story that Rabbi Yochanan held that, like Rabbi Yehuda, that there's muktzah. A menorah, a large candelabra, fell on Ravasi, and Ravasi didn't move it. Maybe he walked away from it and it fell by itself, but he didn't move it because he held of muktzah. And his Rebbe is Rabbi Yochanan. So you see from here that Rabbi Yochanan holds of muktzah. So Gemara on today's daf says perhaps the reason why he didn't move it is because there's a new muktzah called Kovei HaMakom. It has a very specific spot, similar to muktzah machmas chisar and kis. If you have something really expensive, you don't want to use it, you designate an area for it. And therefore this candelabra had a designated area, and that's why it was muktzah, not because of the muktzah of Rabbi Yehuda. Have a wonderful day.